I've interacted with customers and heard the stories through the generations, but we've never really got the opportunity to dig deep and tell the untold stories about this legacy sub-brand.
Well, there was a multiple car approach here because the first generation is CTSV, XLRV, STSV.
How did V-Series come to be?
Several people said there's no way a small block could be as refined as what is being put into the foreign competition. We said we disagree.
What was the biggest hurdle bringing the first V-Series ever into production?
We were trying to do it really fast. I think it was about 18 months from the time we said go until the time we were ready to roll into production.
Why was racing the car before it entered production so important to us?
Setting the expectation, what is V-Series? From day one, the integration of the vehicle to be sophisticated and how it handles, brakes in a turn. How does it perform and set itself apart when you have that kind of power?
If you were going to compete with the Germans, you had to go to Germany. You have to go to driver's school and get certified to be a driver on the Nürburgring. So all of the drivers that went over there for school were level 3 drivers, the best that General Motors could do. I have that license mounted in a frame and in a real obvious spot in my home. I'm very proud of it.
We developed the base CTS at the Nürburgring, and when we first started, the engines weren't ready and everything, and so we would be on the Nürburgring with maybe 160 horsepower. There's a section of the Nürburgring when you climb up out of Bergwerks, it's uphill all the way. It's in a 160 horsepower car. You can check your watch, check the gauges and all that stuff, and then even when you jump forward and add 100 horsepower for the CTSV, that is no longer a relaxed part of the track.
Do you have a favorite memory or story from the development of V-Series?
There was one that was really funny. We're going to have the new CTSV out at Milford, and we want you to do a tank of gas. Go out there and run in it, and I hear something go boom, and then all of a sudden it lost power, right? And so we threw a rod in it and blew it to smithereens, right? So I'm walking back on the track with a radio in the woods. I said, you need to come get me with my helmet in my hand.
I remember seeing Chuck Tomlinson at his desk had this set up to try to get a transfer pump to work in the STSV and pump fuel from one side to the next and all these buckets, and looked like a mad scientist on his desk trying to figure that out because the North Star required so much more fuel. Those requirements now of how to pick up fuel are just standard for, we don't have any problems, Now, the bimodality of having to be a luxury car and a performance car, that is one of the hallmarks of V-Series DNA that we've carried through each generation.
Us all just working on it together, that was awesome. To me, one of the highlights of my career.
A lot of the people that were here in the beginning are still here, driving the same DNA and taking it to the next level every time. Brandon, you played a huge role in that.
Cheers to another 20 years.
Yeah, all right, sounds good.
We are about to celebrate our 20th anniversary of V-Series, which obviously is a really significant milestone. As part of the celebration, we really wanted to bring a lot of the stories through the generations to life.
Certainly Gen 1 was Cadillac's toe in the water in this space. It may not be well known, but the second gen was an architecture evolution. We also expanded the number of offerings. We included now a sedan, a coupe, and the wagon.
We talk to a lot of customers, obviously, and in every audience, there's somebody that, bring back the wagon. I mean, it's like a chant. So definitely a cult classic.
Whether you drove the sedan, the coupe, or the wagon, you got almost identical performance. And to have a family of cars with that kind of capability was really something that nobody else had done.
My next question was going to be about trade-offs, but it doesn't sound like you made any compromises or trade-offs by having 3 body styles.
Chris talked about the first-gen car being a toe in the water. The second-gen car was a cannonball dive into the deep end of the pool. It included being faster on the Nürburgring, first sedan to break the 8-minute barrier.
I was standing in line for breakfast, and the guys were all in their race suits. I actually overheard one of them talking about, well, there's that Cadillac out there. We've got to watch out for that car, and that's respect.
A lot of people ask, why do we go to the Nürburgring? I think that started over 20 years ago for GM, And it's a big endeavor, huge effort, and it puts the car in positions that you just will never be able to on any other track in the world. It's not just a unique thing for one element of the car, it's the whole car gets tested in every fashion.
What about the seats? Any improvements made between Gen 1 and Gen 2?
It's near and dear to my heart. Having a Recaro seat in the car brings a whole bunch of street cred. Having that glove-like feel of the seat is integral to having the right experience in a performance car.
As you were setting records and knocking things out of the park, any stories that you can tell?
We reserved the track on the last day of our last trip in Germany to go set lap times, and Aaron drove the manual, obliterated the record, and we wanted to start calling people, but it was 3 a.m. back in Detroit. We literally wrote a press release, a bunch of engineers sitting around in Germany writing a press release, and we mailed it to the communications team, so it was in their inbox when they got into the office. It was super cool because within several hours, we were reading that press release on the internet.
Obviously, we have the race cars behind us, but racing is a critical element of V-Series, and really the expression that we have on the racetrack of the performance, credibility, and the passion that we have.
But then also, take your wife to the opera in the car, which the car looks like it should do and will do.
We're finding people that have the same values that we do, and we've just amped that up every generation.
I know the underpinnings and the foundation underneath are perfectly engineered and executed, and it brings this driving experience that is second to none.
To be working on a V-Series kind of felt like being picked for the travel team because it really felt special.
As part of our 20th anniversary of V-Series, we're telling the untold stories through the generations. We're here now to discuss Gen 3.
With the third gen, it was truly revolutionary, right? 2 different vehicles, one that we could really laser in on the handling and precision much, much more, and then have the bigger car that could really be that executive express jet.
Well, and this was the first opportunity for us to do a brand new architecture. We started that while second generation V-Series was fully in swing, but taking all of those lessons that we're able to get phenomenal structure.
What does this generation's philosophy actually mean?
You just go to your dealer, you get your car, you put gas in it, you make sure everything's tight, and you have a legitimate race car.
We actually engineered the performance parts to fit the platform so that they'd actually work the best for the customer.
I remember some people telling us, like, oh, nobody's ever going to put race tires on their CTS-V. And I was at a track day, a person pulls up in their first Gen V, and they had 4 Hoosiers in the back seat with their jack, and they're bolting their Hoosiers on to go out and run their track day. And I took pictures of that and kind of used that to say, all right, when we do the next one, these people are actually doing this.
People racing these things are taking them to tracks or taking them to drag strips. So we got to make this car not only track capable on a road course, but also has to be track capable on a drag strip. And that led to more and more technology with launch control and line lock and all the other things we ended up with over the various generations.
There's certain people that want to turn everything off. I got this, I'm a professional. There's certain people who are just, this is my first track day. I want to enter at a level that I'm comfortable with, and the car will basically teach you.
You just answered my next question, which was going to be, what hole did this fill in the strategy? And really, I think in summary, we have a V-Series for everyone.
We always used to say, we're not developing an amusement park ride here, right? We're developing a sophisticated instrument and being able to teach you and enable you to do those things that you're doing, whether it's autocross, drag racing, whatever. That's the specialty of V-Series.
What is the actual behind the scenes, the stories that you've never told before that you're dying to tell?
Kevin and I and one of our technicians flew down to Circuit of the Americas. 3 guys rented a Formula One track for an entire day. Yeah, with a bag of tools. So we had a portable hoist. We kind of brought our lunch in a brown bag. We had the 3 cars, and those cars ran all day. I mean, we were exhausted because the cars never wore out. This is built by a small group of incredibly passionate people.
You can find something at each track that you can make better. And that's a culmination of a great car then when you put that whole mix together when you're done. It drives beautifully.
So all this time testing and driving on the track, did anybody get a race car driver name?
We nicknamed Kevin Space Monkey.
Space Monkey.
because there were a couple of things where we've done the math and we're pretty sure this is going to work. Hey, Kevin, why don't you hop in? We even made little stickers. I've still got one. Stickers. Yeah.
We're celebrating our 20th anniversary of V-Series. Gen 4 stands for expansion and elevation. This is really our opportunity to tell people what that means.
We wanted to make the performance more attainable and not just offer ultra-high performance cars, offer high performance and ultra-high performance. And so we expanded the V-Series lineup. Also elevation in the form of our sophistication, attention to detail. That really is what's also the defining moments here for Gen 4s. Each vehicle has a soul.
From the performance side, the philosophy never changed. The bar was set very high with the ATS-V and the CTS-V in third gen, so the challenge was always, how do we build on that? How do we make these cars even better?
What developments define this generation?
Thinking about all the V-Series that we've had in the past with this diamond-shaped pattern in the grills, it was a challenge for us to come up with a new shape for all the Blackwing grills.
It was three-figure amount of iterations of different radii, different curvatures. It was that important to us to get it right.
Those attention to details are really where our passion comes into play, and I think we really love these vehicles that we work on.
Remember that board we had in the studio we pulled down and review every week?
The wall.
Where are all the Easter eggs? Every part had a Mondrian pattern or a V-Series logo on it. I remember sitting there looking at the boards. How's that one coming? What's this? And Dylan was loving every minute of it.
The CT6 V Blackwing engine was the first hot V twin turbo. What made that engine so special?
It was a clean sheet design. We had never done a hot V twin turbo in the Cadillac or at General Motors before, so truly one of a kind. We also brought all-wheel drive for the first time into V-Series on the CT6V.
Because it was a brand new clean sheet engine, everything you described, we wanted it to have a Cadillac sound, and we remember sitting there with the headphones on and picking the right notes. Once we developed that, then we used it on all of the Gen 4 products all the way through Escalade V.
I worked on that V-Series CT6, but the first time I got to see one was on 696, and it blasted past me, and the sound of that V8 was fantastic. It just put a huge smile on my face.
We also introduced the carbon ceramic brakes. Tell us about developing that.
I wanted to create a lighter car that weighed less than the CTS-V previously. So the carbon ceramic package was massive, but it was challenging. I still see in my head the first day we got boxes with prototype parts in Milford, and I was unpacking them and slapping them on the car. I remember watching our engineers put their helmets on, the suits, and they're going for a track test. And when they walked out, they said, that's the best brakes we've ever felt on the racetrack.
We went through our 24-hour validation testing. Never really had any problems with those brakes at all, and put out virtually no brake dust, which is another kind of a fringe benefit of those brakes.
Really, the 4th gen of V-Series is the end of a chapter for us. So what does that feel like?
It is beyond special to me, and it's an extension of my personality. It's a pinch myself moment every time I'm around this team.
8 years working in V-Series in particular, and it's been pretty awesome, but it is only just the next step.
Exactly.